everybody, and welcome to episode 111 of High Scores, High Stakes, the podcast that sometimes steps out from behind the camera. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Lova Lova, and with me is my co-host.
Good afternoon, Lova Lova. Good evening, good morning. It's me, Cardinal Smith. How are you doing?
I am very well, Cardinal, all things considered. I know what the people who are listening or watching us are thinking. Lova last week promised us Season 5. But that has not how it's panned out. It was how we planned it, but not how it panned it. Obviously, things have got in the way this week.
C'est la vie.
The elephant who's not in the room, Tomahawk, things have come up. We couldn't make our schedules match up enough for us to get together and record the opening of Season 5. The good news to that is it is coming next week, so don't panic. We are here to plug the content gap. Me and Cardinal doing it without the Tomahawk.
Absolutely. And let's just say we've done the challenge. We've submitted our challenges. They're locked in. The scores are there. We're yet to find out how each other's done. The recording's coming next week.
Yep. And it is a doozy of a champions challenge as well. I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like we owe the audience a little bit of a olive branch here. Shall we tell them what the game is, but not the challenge?
Tease them with it. Go on.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So, Season 5, Episode 1's challenge, Tomahawk's Champion's Choice, is Astrobot's Playroom. And that's all we're saying. It's a doozy of a challenge. It had me rip my hair out and screaming and cheering and clapping, and I felt the whole range of emotions playing that challenge. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Most of it was frustration.
Yes. It's this close to ruining Astrobot for me. But we'll talk about this next week when Season 5 rolls around. But that is what we're doing next week. Season 5, Episode 1's coming, and the challenge game is Astrobot's Playroom. Take with that information what you will, and all we can say is it is going to be an absolute banger of a Episode 1. It's going to be good. It's going to be real good, I think. But anyway, first time listeners, you're probably thinking, who the heck are these two guys? Their logo has 3 guys and a cup. What's going on? Let me tell you what we are. We are High Scores, High Stakes. We are a competitive PlayStation podcast where myself, Cardinal Smith, and our other host, Tomahawk, compete against one another in a league table. Every week we pick a game and we play a challenge in that game. The winner of the challenge gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1 point. Whoever is top of the league after 12 weeks wins the coveted, highly sought after, available on Fourth Wall, machine washable too, the High Scores, High Stakes Cup. That's what we're playing for. That's what we do. When we're not in season, which we're still not right now, we do our side quests, is where we talk everything PlayStation, everything gaming. Every week is like a brand new podcast. And the last Monday of every month is Game of the Month. Last week was the last Monday of May. And we talked about The Last of Us. So that's what we do, and that's where we are. That's what we do. If 1 hour-ish of content a week isn't enough to get your High Scores, High Stakes fill, guide your browser to highscoreshighstakes.com. There you'll find everywhere we haunt the internet, and you will also find a link to our merch store, where you can get your very own cup. You can get your very own High Scores, High Stakes t-shirt. And you can get everything else. There's stickers, there's hoodies, there's hats, there's a whole heap of stuff there. Highscoreshighstakes.com is a place to go to find us everywhere on the internet and fill your week with high quality, high scores, high stakes content. And with all that being done, Cardinal, is your favorite question of the week. It's everyone's favorite question of the week. It is the single greatest impression in podcast history. Fact. And it is when I ask you, what are you playing?
Wow, shivers. Literal goosebumps.
I mean, it gives me shivers too.
I know, it's cold in here. This week, I have played, apart from the obvious gaming challenge that Tomahawk laid down of Astrobot's Playroom.
Yep.
I've been playing Division 2.
The
Which
Division 2.
Yeah. Because it's got the new Brooklyn DLC. Woo, new areas.
Fancy.
New areas for me to get absolutely spanked in. I find the Division 2 really quite tricky. I think the AI is smarter or tries to pincer you tactically more often. But I still like it. I just really like the Division games. And that's it. I mean, I say I've been playing it. I've downloaded it. I've loaded it up. I want to play it more. But Astrobot's Playroom's getting in the damn way.
Yes, it is. Yes. I have also been playing Astrobot's Playroom. I say playing. I've been screaming at my TV whilst holding the controller in my hand and looking at Astrobot's stupid little face. I want to punch it. But when I'm not screaming at my TV wanting to punch Astrobot, I have been playing Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Specifically, I've been spending a lot of time in Power Stone 1 and Power Stone 2. And the good news is, for the longest time, the lover said, "Can you teach me how to play fighting games, Danny?" And I'm like, "Probably not. I'm not very good at them, but I can play them with you." And me and him have sat down pretty much every night for 15, 20 minutes playing through Power Stone 2. And it is as wonderful now as what it was in 2001. I want to say it is amazing. That collection is, I say this every time Capcom release one of these things, it is probably their best one. It is, as much as I love the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, it had its issues, namely it had quite severe input delay. All that's gone. The emulation for these games is brilliant. They've recently updated it where they allow you to 2x the background resolution, because a lot of these games are old and the backgrounds look awful. Now they let you bump the resolution up 2x and it looks amazing. It plays amazing. The input lag is gone. Every game on the collection is playable online. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's just a great collection of games. Just don't play Fighting Evolution. Fighting Evolution's awful. But apart from that, no, it's great. Me and Little Lava have been trying to beat the final boss in Power Stone all week, and we have failed every single time. But what a game. Just chaos.
Guys, you gotta get him. You'll get him.
We will. We've gotten so close on a couple of occasions, but once one of you gets wiped out, then the boss's full attention is on the single player, and all of his attacks are like area of effect, and it's just really hard to dodge. But it is what it is. It's a fantastic game. It's every bit as good today on the PlayStation 5 as what it was in the Dreamcast all those years ago. My only criticism of it is, whilst you can play the US or the Japanese version of all these games, they are all just the arcade versions. So Power Stone 2 on the Dreamcast had an adventure mode. That's not there. But maybe they'll do a Capcom Fighting Collection 3 where all of them are home console ports. Who knows? Maybe one day. Capcom, make it happen. And also send me a free review copy and I will review the life of it for you live on twitch.tv.
Still hounding after that Capcom sponsorship.
One day.
And why not?
One day, mate. One day that they will go, you know what? You know who pushes our games more than anyone else on the internet? Mr. Lava. He deserves it. Let's go. Let's get in contact with this man. highscoreshighstakes@gmail.com, just in case you're unaware. But anyway, these aren't the only games we've been playing. We've been kind of telling a white lie here, Cardinal, because last weekend we went, alongside Little Lava, of course, we went to GamerFest in Dublin, in the RDS arena in Dublin, and we had a blooming good time, and we played quite a few games. So I thought, why not come back here? We have a gap in our content. Let's talk about GamerFest. So I think we should get there now.
Let's chat.
Okay, Cardinal. GamerFest Dublin.
Tomahawk.
RDS Arena. Last Sunday. We went on the Sunday, obviously, because life finds a way to get in our way. And it is what it is. But let's talk about it. We'll talk about the whole thing just as a general overview of what people can expect to see there, what we saw there, what we liked about the place, and then we'll go into specifics about the games we played whilst we were there. So you get the ball rolling. What was your initial thoughts? First time walking into the RDS, what was your initial feelings or thoughts about GamerFest?
Yeah, guys, if you've people, if you've never been, the RDS is this big open space inside the building. I don't know what the RDS is. I've never been, but it's a big space, big hall, and
Mhm.
it was really, really full of people
It
and
was.
stalls. And it just had a vibe about it of a sort of collective here for a bit of fun kind of day. And there was lots of helpers, lots of staff at hand to talk to everybody and be at the different stalls. It was quite eclectic. There was a lot of stalls there to sell stuff, to showcase stuff, really stuff featured at collectors or just general selling games. There was plenty of stalls. There was a section for indie games, local indie developers, and then you had your big gaming zones. So you had your typical Fortnites, FIFAs, sorry, EA FCs, Rocket Leagues, and things like that. It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. What my first thought was, number one, we got in. We literally walked straight in, straight in. The queue was like rapid, really, really quick. Everyone was processed really quickly. The stamp was put your arm, bang, and that was you straight through the door.
Yeah.
For transparency, we were invited there by GamerFest themselves as content creators. We stopped at the desk, had a nice chat with the guy while he sorted out our creator passes and all that sort of good stuff. Just, yeah, as you said, just everyone here is super helpful, super friendly. Everyone's willing to stop, have a chat with you. I don't know about you. I spoke to quite a few like games developers who were only happy to have full scale conversation. It wasn't just a hey, how are you? What's your game about? That sort of stuff. They were proper like conversations you were having with people. Obviously, the indie developers were really eager to talk to you as you played their games because they want to get your feedback. They want to know, is this good? Is this bad? What do you think of this? Is there anything we need to do to get this working better? Or if you were to make changes to this game, what changes would you put in? All that sort of stuff. But the vibe here is class. It's not my first, it was your first Gamer Fest. It wasn't. Me and Little Lava and Tomahawk went in October, where the layout was different. They had opened the second hall, and that's where the indie zone was, and that's where all the vendors were. Whereas this time, it was a lot more condensed. I think it worked in its favor. It felt to me like there was a lot less walking to get to where you wanted to go, and you couldn't walk more than a few feet without seeing something that piqued your interest or someone who you wanted to talk to, all that sort of good stuff. There was just
Yeah.
games and stuff everywhere
Everywhere.
and people everywhere. It was really busy. We can't stress how busy it was. And I think I put out my first tweet of that day was just arrived at GamerFest, people everywhere. It's a great thing to see because these things live and die by the community who goes there. If it was quiet, it has its benefits. There's very little waiting for playing games and all that sort of good stuff, but it also feels empty and soulless, and it's really hard to get any sort of excitement drummed up when there's no one there. Here there was people everywhere, and it was amazing. And there might be people who just stopped to have a conversation with me as I was walking about with Little Lava, walking the stalls, whatever. Just people wanting to talk about games. It was great. I really like the vibe of this place. I have been to the RDS on a few occasions. Music concerts way back when was the thing I went to the RDS for. That's, to my knowledge, that's what it is, a music venue. But the layout of it here was just so good. You walked in and you're just hit by a wall of noise in a good way. There was music being played, you hear games being played, you hear people laughing, people talking, and just the general noise of people being in an enclosed space altogether. I think the vibe here is class. I mean, second time I've been, I've not, it's the second time I've not had any waiting to get into this place, and it's just straight in, straight to the action. And there's a lot to be said about that. The amount of places you go to, the things like of this nature, where you get to the door and you're queuing for half an hour and it just kills all energy that you have because you're like, darn. Especially here, because for us, going to Dublin, going to the far side of Dublin is quite the trek. I'm not complaining, but it is a fairly long drive.
I think for context, it's maybe not physically far away or doesn't look far away on a map. And especially if you're traveling in the UK, mainland Europe, or US, it wouldn't take very long to get this
No, not at
distance.
all.
That's not the case on this
No,
island.
no.
And
Our infrastructure leaves a lot to be desired.
but we got there all the same. And as you say, we were straight in. I was sort of excited as soon as we walked in. There was this like Formula V sports racing car right in front of me,
Yes, yes.
in front of a sort of Formula One sim racing zone by Curry's.
Yep.
Shout out to other electrical stores are available.
Rest in peace, Dixon's.
Yeah, PC World. But you talk about queues. That was the only place I had the queue for the whole day, I think, properly.
Yeah.
And it was actually a half-hour queue because they had 6 sim rigs, all with the Formula 1 25, I think it was. And it felt like everybody wanted at least one go. What I found was it was the same people looping in the queue.
Trying to beat their times.
Yeah.
It was a competition though, wasn't it? Or was it not?
It was, yeah.
It was, wasn't it? A lap time competition thing?
Yeah, they were giving away PS5s, and it was whoever 3 people possibly who had the fastest times. But there was one guy wearing like an esports jersey.
Incredible scenes.
Yeah, I race. He was in the queue in front of me, and he was like, "Look, you go ahead. I don't like that track as much. You take that sim." I was like, "Okay."
What a dude. Absolute Chad move. Just putting in his dominance here, and you submitted to him, so he's the real winner here.
He is. He was faster.
He wanted Suzuka.
Still, I was faster than Tomahawk last year, just saying.
I mean, me walking around the track would have been faster than Tomahawk last year. 127 or whatever it was. Absolute embarrassing.
And I guess with that, that was one game I played, Formula 1 25, but there was another big showcased game.
There was that I played this quite a bit when I was here. It was the game I'm thinking of, which is, of course, Buck Egypt's Gaelic Football 25.
But Buck Egypt's being the developer?
The developer. Me and Little Love It. We had a wee bit of a wait for this. It was only a few minutes. And I thought that particular stand was really good. Once people were finished, they weren't asked to leave. You were allowed to sit there for as long as you want, but people, once they saw queue, finished the game and then just left and sort of opened up the PC.
It was polite.
Really polite, and it just pass it forward then. If you see someone waiting, your game's over, just move on. But Gaelic Football 25 was one of the ones I was really excited to play. I'm not the world's biggest Gaelic fan, not at all, not by any stretch of imagination, but it's been so long since we got a Gaelic games video game. Like, I was talking to you about this. I remember playing a previous one with my brother-in-law, like the guts of 20 years ago. I think during their sort of little panel on the stage, they said the last one was released in 2009, which is probably round about right. But no, Gaelic football isn't the biggest sport on the planet, but it's also not the smallest, most niche sport on the planet. It's got quite a big following, especially obviously here in Ireland. It's massive here in Ireland. But then, ironically enough, Canada really like Gaelic football, and obviously Australia as well. I mean, the global profile of the sport has grown over the course of years. It's no football, it's no soccer, and it will never be a soccer. But I just really wanted to. I really want to play a Gaelic football game, and Gaelic Football 25 was really good, like really good. I felt.
No, it was near the start as you walked in. But honestly, as you're standing queuing for those few minutes just to get a play, you could see it looked like it looked like FIFA.
Yeah, from a distance. Yeah.
And it looked clean, sharp, and really good. The movement looked good. The physics looked good. And then when we finally got to play it, when you're up close, you kind of start seeing some funky hair choices, but
yes.
But they've done the town on the hair. Apparently, there's over 200 hair options for.
It's exactly what I was going to say. There's over 200 choices for player customization when it comes to hair. Incredible stats. But but yeah, from a distance, it looked like you're like a football game, like FC 25. Up close, it looked like an indie game, which is what it is. It's a team of 6. Did he say
12 overall?
12
Yeah.
overall. So tiny team. The game had no right to look as good as it does.
No.
Like the animation in this game is really quite smooth. Everything flowed really well. There was an element of old PES when you changed your controllable character, they would stop moving and then they would start running when you took control of them. So they just stop and then run again, which this is alpha build, really.
Yeah.
And during their panel, they said that the build that they're currently working on is they've made massive leaps forward with it. It did have some issues. The physics were really good, quite predictable, but the passing game, the kick passing game specifically, sometimes you had no idea where that ball was going to go.
I know you talked about PES, the Pro Evo series. It does ring a bell because, but it felt like you could jump into the game easier. Okay, I knew the basic controls from a screen that told me here was what the controls are as you're loading into a game, and it was the same controls as PES.
Yeah.
Okay, I know where shoot is. I know where throwing passes or whatever. That felt smooth or it felt understandable, and you could sort of understand maybe where the guys were running. But as you said, the passing was inconsistent, or maybe it didn't go where you thought it might go.
Yeah.
And there may be part of that saying, or there may be part of that where there's we don't have settings set up. You know, maybe there was a lot of aids on maybe to help with passing. I don't
Possibly,
know.
yeah.
But
The hand passing game was really consistent, really predictable. It went where you expected it to go. It was literally just a kicking, which is weird because when you got a free kick, it went exactly where I expected to go every single time. It's literally just that one aspect of the running kick pass game was a bit, I don't know where that ball's going, or the ball would go somewhere completely almost opposite where I would go. But they said their current build is miles ahead of that. They said they've made massive leaps forward on pretty much every aspect of the game. The game that we played that day was, I think, really accomplished, really quite polished for an alpha build. Yes, there was foibles. I would expect that from any game pre-release anyway. And I thought this game showed massive promise, and it could be the best Gaelic game ever made.
yeah, and she says so long since we had one. I think it was PS2. So bring it. I was just excited to be able to pick any county from the islands. So
I broke my rule of Gaelic, and that is never pick Armagh, but Armagh genuinely one of the best teams in the game, and they were really, really good. And it breaks my heart to say that. But no, Gaelic Football 25 I thought was really good. Buck Agent Games are doing a great job on that.
Coming out August, I believe, this year.
August, yeah, coming out on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. So keep your eyes out for that. It's not going to be an £80 game, which is also great. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. Then the next game I want to talk about was actually the game that Little Lova said might have been his favorite of the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it is Coexistence from Sinister Corporation Games. Like, Coexistence being Little Lova's game was not on my bingo card.
Not on your cards at all.
Yeah,
which is quite a funny saying that now you've said that out loud.
it really wasn't. Coexistence, for those who don't know, is obviously Sinister Corporation Games are local to Dublin, I think. If memory serves me right, Dublin locals. It is a card game of. It's really hard to explain the concept of it. It is, you likened it to Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII.
I did, and because it was a 4x4 board, unlike Final Fantasy is 3x3. In hindsight, Final Fantasy IX's card game is 4x4 and has each top and corner has a particular value or direction to play it. So it was a merge between Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX card games.
Yeah, and the best way I can describe the way this game plays is your four faces of the card have a numerical value, and your four corners also have a numerical value, and you have to place that card somewhere in this 4x4 grid that will give you the best chance of outscoring your opponent's card in an adjacent square. And it basically effectively top trumps the video game, but much, much, much more complicated than that.
Yes, so we got to play a demo,
Yeah.
and you just got thrown in, and it was quite graphical and fancy looking. It had its own feel about it.
Yep.
I don't know how to describe it, but it was unique to the other games that were there in the day. Maybe a darker side. I don't know. But
It reminded the visual style of it reminded me in a weird sort of way of Ultima, just like
yeah,
really traditional high
old.
fantasy. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, that's our old E-Time town.
yeah. It
Yeah.
reminded me of like Ultima or like Hero Quest or like that 1980s vibe of what fantasy was. But it was the gameplay was rock solid. It is a card game at the end of the day, but card games are very easy to mess up or on balance or anything like that. Now, the developer of this, we were talking to him for quite some time, and he was saying that there's a story in here, and basically you travel across the world, visiting locations, playing cards. When you beat an opponent, you get the choice of picking one of their cards to add to your deck in order to increase your deck's power and all this sort of stuff. He also said that they were shooting for like a multimedia sort of lore system where there's going to be lore in their website, lore in books, lore in basically everywhere, just hidden everywhere, where there's codes hidden everywhere in the website for cards. The business card that he gave me, flipped it around, and it had a redeem code for a pack of cards
Oh
to
my
play inside
goodness.
the game and stuff like this. I also grabbed, he had like little novellas as well. I grabbed one of those, start reading it. Yeah, you can tell there's secrets
More.
in there. You just need to find
Oh,
where they are and stuff like this. It seems to be one of those games where there's been a great deal of thought put into what inspired it. How do I improve that game? Because obviously Final Fantasy 8 mini games and Final Fantasy 9 mini games, they're mini games. You need to find a way to make it into a full game. They seem to be going down the route of story heavy, which suits and seemed like a really logical choice of how do you make this mini game into a full blown game.
yeah, yeah. And I was interested in it, and I would like to see more from it. We'll follow its progress.
Yeah, it's available on Steam. You can download the demo. Well, you can not pre-purchase it. You can wishlist it now on Steam. To my knowledge, it's only coming out on Steam. I don't think it would make much sense on a console. I don't think it would do much on a console. I don't think it will capture console players.
Currency says coming soon.
Yeah, yeah. But it was a really decent game. As I said, Little Lova talked about it when we got home that night. And I was like, what was your favorite game of it? I thought he was going to say Gaelic because he played Gaelic quite a bit. He said it was that card game. So
One piece of information about that card game though is you've got a deck, you've got 5 or 6 cards, you can't see the other person's deck.
yeah,
And you go first, I think.
yeah. You're
So
playing blind.
you're playing blind. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's fine. That's it.
Makes sense. I think it makes sense not to be able to see what card the opponent's going to play next. Maybe that's just me. Me and Little Lova play a lot of Pokemon TCG, and obviously you're
Yeah.
playing blind there as well. So you make a decision, and whether it's the right decision, it gives your opponent the opportunity to counteract what you've just done, and then it's a game of back and forth of trying to counteract, trying to figure out each other's strategy and try to counteract the other player and try to sort of anticipate what your opponent is going to do next and putting in measures to try to counteract that. I think that adds, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just the TCG element of things that I like to do coming through, but I think the downside is you don't know what they're going to start with. So maybe that's a way of doing it. Maybe you put a starter card down so your opponent can see what card it is and make a decision based on where they want to play their card based on yours, something like that, and then make it completely blind from then. But no, I like the idea of it. It was a good game. It looked really good. The developer had a lot of plans for it, which is good. Usually in these things, it's like, oh yeah, I made this game in, a summer, and I don't
Yeah.
know how to make it better. He seemed to have all these plans of how to make it better. Just wanted feedback on balancing and stuff. Now, that was one thing. When you went to a new area, you met people and they appeared as cards on your screen, and you picked one of your opponents that they have power levels. And little Love It did get absolutely decimated by a level 9. But that's card
Absolutely
gaming.
wiped out. Yep.
That's card gaming for you. You win some, you lose some. But yeah, no, that was Coexistence. The next game I want to talk about is a game. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this. So it is spelled YokAI, but I think it's meant to be YokAI. And that is from a group of students from, I think it was University College Dublin, I think, called Neon Night. So this was the isometric hack and slash you saw me playing.
That's right. Yeah.
I like that game. Now, this game looks an awful lot like Hades.
And it's sort of that sort of off top down almost.
Isometric. Yeah, isometric.
Yeah.
It looked a lot like Hades. It played a lot like Hades, but it was so difficult.
It was absolutely brutal.
It was brutal. It was a really fun game, though. We did get to the boss, and we did get to the second phase of the boss, but you are afforded 3 hits. You have a life bar that's once you get hit, that is it. Once you get hit 3 times, you are dead. It does have like a health regeneration sort of mechanic where you have your health bar, and then underneath it you have a power bar, and that you can hold down A, and it will use your power, but in order to refill your health again. I thought this was a really good game. I'm not usually a fan of roguelikes at all. I don't like the random nature of them. I don't like not knowing what's coming next, and I don't like not being able to plan for things where you have to make reactionary sort of decisions based on 1 or 3 variables, whatever it is. I find them really hard to get into. This game was a roguelike where you cleared an area of enemies, and then you were given a choice of what do you want to do next. But I thought it was really fun. It looked quite nice. And for a game, I think the developer said that they made this in a couple of weekends. They started up a summer sort of coding studio. And he says, yeah, we found after first year and going back into second year to college, we had forgotten so much. And it was that when they made, during the summer, we'll just make a game studio and make games during the summer to keep our coding skills up to sort of scratch. You don't forget. I thought it was really good. Really, really, really early days for it. I don't know if there were any plans of releasing this game either, but what was there I thought was fun. It played really well. It was really smooth, really difficult, but a game where you can see yourself improving your skill and getting better and better until your speed running it. It reminded me of Fury, a mix between Hades and Fury. I thought it was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I got some good photos of you playing it.
You did.
Little lover giving it a go too, and it was getting absolutely wiped on that boss because it was brilliant.
Yeah. The boss at parts became bullet hell, which is why it reminded me of Fury. It was a good game. I really enjoyed it. Also, just around the corner from it was another developer who was in the same class as the developer of YokAI. And that game was called Build-A-Bot. And this developer was called Desk Rage Games. So Build-A-Bot was another isometric roguelike, only this one was a shooter. You control a robot that you design yourself at the start of the game. Now, the designing phase wasn't in this demo. It was just a pre-built robot. And you're right, the idea was just go from combat arena to combat arena to combat arena and just survive for as long as you can. Once you clear the room, you were given an upgrade where you can upgrade your damage, your armor, your health, your speed, your dodge, all this here sort of. So you're getting all these skills. Again, it's another roguelike, but this game was obviously much further along than YokAI was, and it was extremely polished, and I had an absolute blast with it. Twin stick shooter. Let's go. Live for them.
Oh yeah. And it ran smooth. I didn't get to play it,
Y-
but I got to see it being played, and it just looked all the animations, all the movement, the aiming, the action looked pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was really good and really skill based. Like obviously, twin stick shooters they're notorious for aiming aids and stuff like that. This game had none of that. And with some of your weapons, you had to individually pull the trigger for every shot and stuff like that, make you really sort of consider what you were doing when you were doing it. And no, it was just a really good game. But one of the perks that I got in that game was when you used your dodge, which is a dash forward or dash whatever direction you're holding at that particular moment in time, you
Yeah.
gained like 5% of your health back during that dodge. So you're able to just sort of, when it came to the boss fight, and I didn't beat the boss, but you're attacking the boss, dodging to regain health, and it sort of encouraged engagement with the enemies rather than just using the arena sort of obstacles to block their shots. Whatever it was, this game seemed to encourage engagement with the enemies at all times, and a lot of the perks seem to be around you're going to fight, so you might as well fight, and you can do this while you're fighting. I thought it was really good, a really
Yeah.
well considered sort of roguelike, really good game, looked really good, sounded really good, played really good, and controlled fantastically well. It was clearly a lot further along than YokAI, but both of those games I thought were really, really, really fun. I think that one's also just coming out on PC. I think that one isn't even up on. No, it is on Steam.
It
It's on.
is.
It's
Yeah.
on Steam at the minute. Yeah, I don't know if you can wishlist it at the minute. I guess that is it, isn't it?
Coming soon or to early access. Yep.
Yeah, wishlist it. It's a good one. Check it out. I really enjoyed it, and those two games are not usually in my wheelhouse of games that I enjoy, but I like both of them. I think right now Build a Bot is the better game, but Yokai I think has more potential to be a better game than Build a Bot, if that makes sense. But really good games. The last game I want to talk about that I didn't play, but Little Lova talked about this for a very, very, very long time. The next day, and it was a little mobile game called Sumo Cubes, and that is cubes with a Q. Now, this is built,
Nice.
yeah, so this is built by two dads who just for a hobby learned how to code and decided to literally go into one of their garages with computers and start coding a game, and they made this Sumo Cubes. So Sumo Cubes is a simple arena combat game where there is a little sumo ring, and your job is to push the other cube out of the ring. And it is so simple, but Little Lava absolutely loved it. He loved
Interesting.
it.
Yeah.
He loved it. It looked fun. Um, it looked fun. It looked really simple. Maybe a little too simple, but the developer was like, "Can I ask you some questions on how to improve this?" I gave him some ideas that I could see from just watching him and Little Lava fight. Um, there's scope there for like a really good mobile game, and it's one of those games that, like Roblox and stuff, it looks silly to adults, and you can see I would have 15, 20 minutes of fun with this game, but it's the game that the kids would just play over and over and over again because it lasts for seconds around, and it's
Yeah.
really instant straight back into it. Lots of customization of your cubes, lots of like little customization, sort of the eyes, the clothes, the color, all that sort of stuff. Screams. I know that the developer said, would you pay a subscription fee for this game? And I was like, the days of subscription based games are gone. This is microtransactions all day long. All day long.
Yeah, it's funny. I played it and he asked me questions too, but he was like, he only gave me the options: would you take ads or subscription fee? And I was like, why would you do a subscription for this little
Yeah.
mobile game? That doesn't make sense. But hopefully we put them off that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was only like 3 buttons, I think, maybe even 2.
No, there was. I think there was 3. There was obviously the move around the ring, and there was attack, block, and maybe special. There was definitely attack and block.
Yes, and the point where you had to knock about the ring, and they talked about how they were hoping to add, rather than just 1-on-1, 2v2.
Yes. Yes.
And I was thinking, okay, if I'm playing this with someone in person, we're playing in the pub, for example,
Yes.
I would want maybe like a little leaderboard or like a little history of our results or head to head. But
Yeah, like a record, like in boxing.
just anything like that against
Yeah,
Jeff
I think
has
I
two
said
wins.
something similar, like stats, and I floated the idea of sort of like ring sort of obstacles that can affect gameplay. So like springs or ice, or maybe the ring can start breaking after a certain period of time. Power ups, and make it like into like almost like a 2D Smash Brothers style party arena game,
Yeah,
which I think would be really. There's scope for it,
there
for
is.
two dads here just in their spare time, just making this game. I thought it was really impressive. It ran really smoothly. It's played in browser and on the mobile phone. He told me he hadn't tested it in iOS, that they're building it for Android. It ran like a dream on my iPhone. It was
Fair.
100% fine. It's all browser side, so there shouldn't be any
Yeah.
sort of hardware sort of limitations on it. I thought it was really fun. Lova loved it. He absolutely loved it. He didn't want to stop playing it. The guy was like, okay, and he did go talk to other people. And he was like, okay. And he's like, sure, come back later. And he did ask near the end, can we go back and play that cube game again? But we were leaving. But no, I thought it was fine. I can see the market for it, and I can see exactly what they're going for. For a game, I think he said they threw that build together in a month, but 4 weekends. Like, it's
That's
impressive.
incredible.
It's impressive what people are putting together in such short periods of time. Now, there was more games here. There was Doom: The Dark Ages was playable. Tekken 8 was playable. Me and Little Love It did queue for Tekken 8, but as you said, the queue for Tekken 8, there must have been 20 odd systems running Tekken, but it was just, we couldn't get near it. We couldn't get near
It was
playing.
popular.
Really popular. And Doom of Dark Ages upstairs was the same. I wanted to play Doom of Dark Ages, see what it was like, but it was over 18s only. And Little Love was like, I'm not allowed in there. We're not going in there. All that sort of good stuff. But no, this is a really sort of fun experience. Are there any games you want to talk about, Cardinal, or have we covered them?
No, we those are the games mainly that were there. Apart from the sort of big heavy
The big
hitters like the
hitters.
zones that were there for you to sit down and play. There was some broadcasting of a mobile game from Red Bull, which had like the most professional, ridiculous
Oh, that was
two
Clash
commentary.
Royale. Clash
Yeah,
Royale. That was the
but these
tournament.
guys had a proper camera, proper stage set up just off to the side, lighting and everything, and two commentators with
Yeah.
the screens for everyone around to see who was taking part. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was.
I wasn't interested in the game at all, but I was like, this broadcast is fantastic.
Yeah.
I, I spent some time walking about the stalls, looking at
Yep.
just like merchandise and custom made stuff and stickers and swords. It had everything.
Yeah, it did.
Whether you're a cosplayer or um, a guy who likes important stuff from Japan. My goodness, there was this guy. He told me, "Yeah, I just went to Tokyo and spent 12 grand. I couldn't stop myself
Incredible
collecting
scenes.
stuff." I was like, What? How much? Like
Excuse me?
yen, I suppose. What? No. Um, and he had the most crazy collection of imported Japanese everything: PlayStations, PSPs, games. These box sets of Metal Gear boxes that were never sold here
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. 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 We'll talk about the stalls, and let's talk about the vendors. So, I don't know how accurate this is, but to me, it seemed like the number of vendors had massively increased from last time. Now, last
Right.
time there was a good few vendors. I want to say there was about 15 vendors last time. This time it seemed a lot more, because there was all the vendors in the bottom on the ground floor, and then you had like a load of different vendors in the upstairs area as well. Upstairs seemed to be more traditional board games, and there was card games and TCG vendors, and it was just chocolate block. There was just people and vendors everywhere. There was literally a vendor. If you have any sort of inkling towards like gaming culture, however you define gaming, there was something here for you, which is what I thought.
That's what you saw, but I looked for Astrobot in anything, and I didn't find a single thing, not even a sticker.
My goodness,
that's my complaint. All right, okay. Plenty of retro stuff. That's why I did buy Colin McRae Rally on the PS1.
You did. It was a good price too, to be fair.
10 pounds.
Like a really
10
good
euros,
price.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you talked about upstairs.
Yeah.
Different vendors and all again. As soon as I walked upstairs, there was a guy chatted to me about this board game he's made.
Okay.
Like a tabletop game. And he's just getting crowdfunding at the moment. But here's the final prototype, and talk me through it and let me have a quick go. And I was like, this is very impressive. Good for you. And he says, thanks. And we went on our different ways. But he was
Incredible.
just there to tell people about it, you know?
That is the convention experience right there in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time talking with people about Pokemon cards and all that sort of good stuff. Was tempted to buy a Magic the Gathering deck because there was one there, really good price, 2 starter decks, and I was like, would love to play this. And I was like, I have no clue how to play Magic. I'm gonna pass on this. My only criticism about the vendors, now this is a minor criticism, is the ones on the ground floor were very close together, and
it was cramped.
It was really cramped, and I find it made it hard. When you stopped to look at something, you felt like you were blocking someone's pathway. So it sort of put me off browsing because I always felt like I was on obstruction for someone else who maybe wanted to get to the other side or whatever. And I felt, I did feel myself going, oh, I want to see that. And then looking behind me and seeing there was a queue of people who were just, streaming in behind me. And I was like, well, if I stop there and not able to get through, I'll move on and come back at another time. But it is a convention and the vendors are busy all day long. And, I never got back into upstairs. Wasn't so bad because it is the walkway. So it was a lot more sparse and they were better spread out. And I know I had most of my conversations happened up the stairs of talking to people about like Pokemon sets and, do you have any cards with you you're willing to trade all this here sort of business. I didn't even think about bringing my Pokédex sort of binders and getting rid of a few doubles and stuff like that. And I really could have. But no, the vendors, really impressive range of them. I couldn't find North Down Gaming. Did you find them anywhere there? I couldn't find them.
No.
They were there, but I couldn't find them.
Weren't they? But as you say, it was such a cramped space downstairs. There was vendors you could even see. They were like end stalls in amongst corridors and back to back and side to side. And and as you say, there wasn't that much space, so I missed so much. Like I walked through it 3 times, and each time I saw a stall I didn't see.
Exactly the same as me. I walked through it like 4 or 5 times with a little love it, looking for Pokemon cards. That's what we were looking for. Can we get like a really good single? Can we get a slab? Can we get like a pack I haven't seen in a very long time? Can we get 151? That was the question on my mind. Can I see 151? No was the answer. Unless you want the Japanese 151, they were coming down everywhere. But I want my cards in English. I'm sorry. I want to be able to read them, to see what the moves are, to maybe use them in my deck and stuff like that. But no, that was my one big criticism. Is I feel like there was definitely space to spread them out a bit more. I think if you want to encourage people to stop, to browse, to buy, you need to give people space. If we're feeling that way, then other people are feeling that way. Obviously, the more sort of convention goer heavy person who has a lot more experience in conventions, just they're much more comfortable in just stopping, looking, buying, moving on. Whereas I just constantly felt like I was in someone's way. I think next time they have to give them much more space. Maybe consider opening that second hallway up and putting the vendors in completely in the second hall. Keep all the games in one hall, the vendors in another hall, and just completely separate them, which I think would work really well. Obviously, that's a costing thing because obviously one hall is not as expensive as the full RDS. The second hall's huge. Another thing we haven't really talked about was the the panels, the interviews, the cosplay show, and all that sort of stuff. I did stop and see a bit of it. I didn't stop for all of them. With some of them that I had no interest in personally. What I saw of them, I thought was really good. Like I thought the Buck Egypt Games interview was really good.
Yes. So we sat down and we heard all about that Gaelic Football 25 game, and it was two developers who were being interviewed, and that's where we learned things like there was only 12 of them there, where they're based, where they're going, their hopes, their aspirations when it was going to launch. Lots of good information.
Yeah.
And we'd love to maybe talk to them as high stakes.
Yeah.
But there was other stuff as we arrived, or just after we arrived. There was a masterclass in sim racing.
Yes.
I didn't pick anything up. Nothing I didn't already know. Jeez,
I saw you taking notes, furiously scribbling in your notebook.
Preparing for season 5, just in case a racing game comes up. There was wrestling going on.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of Wii Sports at some stage.
There was like Switch Sports.
Sports.
The WWF competition was quite funny because you had the two like shoutcasters there. He were getting really into it. Just that one guy. There was one of the matches I watched in its entirety was a kid and this older guy, and the kid was just annihilating the older dude. He looked like he was having zero fun. At one point, he paused the game, and I think he was complaining to one of the shoutcasters that his controller wasn't working. The absolute classic. This controller's not working. That's why I'm losing. Oh, the X button's sticky. He must have had the Mad Catz controller from 1999 or something. They would have made that sent me like that. I was just in because he was getting beat because the kid was way better than he was. Yeah. But it was so good. There was a lot of fun to be had here. I don't have much criticisms of this. I think the vendors was my big sticking point. I find it uncomfortable to shop in that sort of environment. The queuing system, I think you were saying about the people just leaving the sim and then going back around to the back of the queue. Obviously, that's fine, but if you're coming in and you see someone leaving and enjoying the queue in front of you again, maybe there's something they can do to sort of dissuade that sort of behavior. But most of the time, the queues were, people saw people queue and then they would finish their game and leave and then give you their console or PC, whatever it was. The Tekken 8 one was just rammed. I would have liked to have played some Tekken 8 because Tekken 8 is an absolute banger of a game. But beyond that, I have no complaints. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Talked to a lot of interesting people. Played a lot of really interesting games and good games. Genuinely good games. I would definitely go back either as an invited guest or as a customer. No bother. Little Lova had an absolute ball at this.
Good stuff.
He was like, "Is it coming back in October? Can we go in October?" I don't think there is a Winter GamerFest this year. I think this is the only one. And he's sort of asking now, is there one up here? Is one up in here? And then is there one in Northern Ireland? Is there one in Northern Ireland? And can we go to that? So we're floating the idea here of going to Comic-Con just because he has such a good time at these things and all that sort of good stuff. But no, did you enjoy it is the question, Cardinal?
Yes. No, I there was something to see at every corner.
Everywhere.
Every turn.
Yeah, everywhere. I think before we move on to the wrap-up section, one other thing I would like to say is October had more indie developers. I would like to see the indie developers given a bigger space.
Agreed. They were off in a corner in quite a small, tight space. Yeah. And it sort of felt uncomfortable if I was to go in there because it was so small.
Yeah.
So I'd just want to see more indie space because it feels like there's a lot of games that are being made in Ireland.
Yeah.
So let's see these people. Let's have their games showcased.
Yeah. Obviously, I think that might be out of their hands. They're going to dedicate a space based on the amount of applicants they get to come and showcase. But last year there was so much more, and the space was so much bigger, and you could stop, you could have full scale conversations, and we did anyway. But you felt much more comfortable in the second hall talking to developers. Andy Games did an interview with one of the developers in October, where you couldn't have done that now. I would like to see indie developers just given a bigger space, more of them. Let's get them all in. There's games being made everywhere in Ireland, seemingly. Let's start showcasing them. And if you're an indie developer and you're wondering, is it worth my time and while to go to GamerFest in Dublin? Absolutely, because there's people like us here dying to play games that we've never heard of and games that the big developers are scared to make. So take risks and take your games to GamerFest is my advice to any indie developers out there. But yeah, overall, good show. Great show. I had a lot of fun. I'll definitely be going back. Little Love will be definitely going back. I would like to get all three of us back, me, you, and Tomahawk together to be the podcast to go around. Obviously, that wasn't possible this time because of real life, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, really good fun. GamerFest, they know how to put on a good show. They know how to fill a show with good content, and just keep them coming. Just keep them coming, GamerFest. Yeah, and that's it. We will get to our wrap-up section, Cardinal. And that is it, Cardinal. Another GamerFest and another episode all wrapped up. It is done. Beautiful.
You know what
work.
they say? Yeah, like you always remember your first, and I had a good time.
Yeah.
At GamerFest.
And you finally got your hands on one of those creator lanyards you've been jealous of me and Tom since October. Here we go. The set is complete.
Yes.
It is the Infinity Flipstones for your gauntlet, mate. You've now got it.
Let me just say this now, for anyone listening still at this stage. Last year, the previous GamerFest, Tomahawk did not book me a spot at GamerFest. I did not get to go to GamerFest. He gave it to his brother.
Wow.
That's why in Season 5, Tomahawk will not be getting the easy path, the easy route, the helping hand this season in any of the challenges. Enjoy your little mug this year, Tomahawk. Enjoy it. Because you're not getting another one.
I love it. I love it. Love the fight and talk, Cardinal. I've been talking smack. Tom's not winning Season 5. Let's say that right now. If Tomahawk wants to win Season 5, he's going to have to work. And I mean work for it. I ain't letting it happen. We now know you're not going to let it happen, even though you and him have wee secret group chats where you strategize against love an absolute
I've
shocker.
left. I've kicked him out. He's got his Season 4 cup, and that's where it ends.
Yeah. But anyway, as I said to start, Season 5 is coming this coming Monday. It is Champion's Choice. It is Astrobot's Playroom. It is quite a big challenge, but it is going to be, it's a really, really, really good challenge, and it will make some good watching. So make sure you're here on Monday, 8 a.m. GMT, for the debut of Season 5. Let's beat Tom together. I'm talking to you, Cardinal. I'm talking to you, listeners. What I want you to do at the bottom of this is, Tom, just comment, Tom ain't winning Season 5. Do that for me. It'll be funny. It'll keep him going. Tom hasn't a clue about this. I'm not going to tell him. He can find this out by listening to this podcast. But anyway, yep, that's everything. Season 5 coming next week. And we mean it this time. It's coming next week. But let's just quickly run on people over where they can find us all over the internet, where they can buy Swish new t-shirts like this one. It looks amazing. Make sure you buy Team Lova. It could be the season-long challenge. Whose t-shirt can sell the most? Just direct your browsers to highstakes.com. You'll find us everywhere we are. If you haven't reviewed us and you want to, please do. 1 star to 5, what you think we're worth. If you want to leave us a written review, that's even better. It really helps give eyes and ears on us. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, because like 90-something% of us who are watching us right now haven't subscribed, and that's not on. That's rude. Just sort it. The subscribe button is, I don't know, somewhere underneath, isn't it? It's on the right-hand side.
You get that push. You find
push it. You find it yourself. We can bring you the content. We can bring a horse to water, but can't make a drink. Is that what the saying is?
That's it. Can't make it subscribe.
Yeah. And with all that being said, Cardinal, I have nothing left to say except I'll be Mr. Love Lover. This has been High Scores, High Stakes. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks for watching. Love y'all. Bye.
Ciao.